Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 733, Super Bowl 59 reactions. Eagles excel, Chiefs crumble. Hello, Big Chillians. Welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, I've been saying it all year. The Chiefs are the most overrated team in the NFL. I've been saying it all year, and no one believed me. No one listened to me. And now all of America got to see it happen, Eddie. I feel vindicated.
I feel extremely vindicated.
I had to get out in front of this.
I do have to actually apologize to our listeners, though, because I think I suggested taking the Eagles minus 20, and they didn't quite cover that spread. Looked like they would for 3 3/4 of the game, but just let themselves down in the final few minutes and didn't cover.
You actually couldn't take minus 20. It didn't go that high for me. I looked.
Well, no matter how high you went, you were okay. But no, I think the Chiefs were exposed as frauds yesterday. I think that's something that probably could and should have happened to them earlier in the playoffs, potentially even in other prior Super Bowl wins. I think Mahomes put in one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was bad.
Kelsey was anonymous.
Bad.
It was from start to finish. They looked like outplayed.
Kelsey wasn't anonymous. He tried to bend over to catch a pass twice and just couldn't quite bend his back enough.
And look, Kelsey at least he can get a little bit of a break when your quarterback is throwing the ball into the ground or 7 feet over people and scrambling for his life for the most part. I will say Kelsey did miss a few blocks when he was sort of brought into the line to try and help give Mahomes a little extra protection. But no, I mean,
that didn't work.
I've got a lot of Super Bowls wrong in the past. I've got some Super Bowls wrong on the podcast. That one pretty much went to the script I imagined in my mind in terms of just dominating both sides of the ball. The only thing I guess you would say is that the Chiefs shut down Saquon Barkley. Yeah. That's the only thing that was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into some of the specifics, but overall, actually, I thought the Chiefs' defense didn't play that badly. I mean, the first half, for sure. I mean, by the second half, I think they're getting a little exhausted. Like, they were on the field for, I think, 35 minutes. You know, whenever you give a team 13 possessions, your defense is bound to start to suffer a little bit towards the end there when they're just running down the clock. But the defense, I mean, that first half, they played okay, but the Chiefs' offense that was the worst I've ever seen Mahomes. I think he was at 11 QBR at the end of the game. That's including the 3 touchdown garbage passes, like an 11. That's his second worst ever in a game, and it was in the Super Bowl. I mean, talk about the worst time to have a bad game. That was it.
No, complete no-show. And I think, and look, we're not being original here, but, you know, all of the talk about this is Mahomes coming for Tom Brady's legacy. I think you could definitely tell on the broadcast that Brady was kind of enjoying it. But to have 2 complete no-shows now in Super Bowl performances hurts his legacy. No matter what you want to say, it's the kind of the Jordan debate versus LeBron of, you know, there's actually, you can win more or you can make it there more. But the perfect record that Jordan has is significant. And okay, Tom Brady lost 2 Super Bowls, but he lost them in close games. Versus Mahomes now has the 2 Super Bowls he's lost have been absolute blowouts where the game was basically over in the second quarter almost. As for the Chiefs defense, I agree they weren't the weak point, but they were also helped for a lot of that game in that once the Eagles got up to their big lead, they were a bit more conservative. Apart from the one surprising deep shot they took, in the third quarter. That
was a great punt. I mean, it was.
And they were just intent on not turning the ball over and killing clock. They almost learned from the Falcons-Patriots Super Bowl where, the story was the Falcons could have won if they'd just taken a knee, basically, from midway through the third quarter onwards. And you could almost say that the Eagles kind of were taking the knee. They were just running the ball up the middle with Saquon Barkley. Yeah.
Except for the touchdown pass they threw like on the 1st and 10 when they got the ball.
No, but that's what I was saying.
Brady was like, I expect them to run the clock here. And the first play was like 40-yard touchdown pass.
No, but that's the only shot they took. Everything else was, they didn't even get really creative with their run game. You just had the Chiefs loading the box and knowing that there was a handoff coming to Saquon Barkley to run it up the middle. And they were happy to have Saquon Barkley kill, 40 seconds with a 2-yard gain and just take the game away from the Chiefs in the process and put the Chiefs in 4-down territory. Honestly, I think they didn't switch to 4-down territory early enough. I think that every possession in the second half should have been 4-down territory. They had the one punt to kind of kick the second half off. I think they should have just gone for it. But no, it was a bad performance for the Chiefs.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I said I had backed the Chiefs. I wasn't emphatic about backing the Chiefs, but, I think my reasoning was you have Mahomes, who for the most part has been a very clutch quarterback, and you have Andy Reid and Spagnuolo, who I would have said are the better coaching staff compared to Sirianni. But when you look at that game, I mean, obviously Mahomes played terrible and was completely outplayed by Hurts, but the Chiefs coaching staff just looked lost. I mean, very early on, you could tell that there was a lot of pressure on that front four, the defensive front four, and they never adjusted. Like, they never ran the ball, never wanted to run the ball, never wanted to do anything but just strange plays. Like, why are you having Mahomes have like 5 and 7 step dropbacks? Do quick plays. How about what's his face, Worthy, with like end arounds or something? You have to run the ball a little bit, and they didn't do.
They can't run the
ball. They had one run in the second half for like 7 yards to open up that second half, and then they never went back to it. How do you know? They only ran it 4 times.
Because
they can't throw the ball either. You have to change it up.
The season showed us they can't run the ball. I mean, we kind of came into this game. They'd only had a 100-yard rushing performance from a single player twice this season. They hadn't had one since week 9. They can't run the ball. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn a little too much here, but these are all the things that I've been telling you all year about this Chiefs team, and they can't run the ball. And then, yes, okay, they have you can point to, Checo getting a 7-yard carry. And yeah, because at that point, the Eagles were happy for them to run the ball. It was like, go on, we'll leave, get 6 yards and kill 50 seconds of the game by the time that play is complete. And now you got to get set up. That's fine by us. We're up by 30 points. Yeah.
That was only 17-0.
Yeah, but you still know what I mean. Like, at that point, they couldn't run the ball from a clock perspective.
At 17-0, I think you can. I think you have to do something.
I don't think you can, because the thing that then worked against them is they knew every time the Eagles got the ball, that was 5 minutes off the game. So if you can't have a drive of 5-6 minutes that involves you running the ball, when if we do this, we've almost got a quarter gone. And we need the ball 6 times now to get to realistically, because we're not going to be perfect, and the Eagles are going to also score. So
I think you have to adjust something. You can't do what you did in the first half, see it does not work at all, and then come back out and try and do the exact same thing.
I don't think they had anything else. This is like telling me if I go into the ring against Mike Tyson and go, Eddie, just stop trying to get punched in the face. It's like, good plan, Frank, but turns out I'm not.
Do you think you'd lose to Mike Tyson? You could beat Floyd Mayweather, but you can't beat Mike Tyson?
Well,
Jake Paul can beat Mike Tyson. God, how pathetic are you?
I'd last a few rounds, but
you'd fuck them up.
Ultimately, they didn't have anything to offer. Everything they're good at, the Eagles took away from them, and the Chiefs don't have a plan B and a plan C. It's let's move the ball efficiently through our pass game, and we can chip away with a little bit of the run game. And we need to rely on Mahomes making, the scrambling backyard football plays from time to time to get us out of a jam. And he was under so much pressure and just scrambling for his life that he couldn't make any of those plays. He had the one flick to Kelsey that was a little creative, and that was pretty much it. Aside from that, every time his feet started moving, he was getting tackled a second later.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about the Mahomes part is I feel like 2 years ago, he gets through some of those sacks or pressures. I mean, there were a few. The one in particular that stands out to me is the one where it was like the 3rd and 3, and he got pressured and he stepped up to the right of the pocket, and he had Hopkins open for that first down and kind of like was tripped as he was throwing it and missed Hopkins. I think 2 years ago, he either doesn't get tripped up and just runs for it, or is in a better position to hit that pass. Like, he looked a little, and maybe it was just he was just panicking, and it was just in his head, and it was over once it was in there, but it looked a little slower than normal.
I'm going to attack the Chiefs a little bit more here because something I commented on to the people I was watching the game with, compared to, say, the Patriots comeback against the Falcons, very early on in that game, they cut to the Chiefs sideline and they were beaten. That in the second quarter, you could tell. And I contrast that to that comeback where you had, and if you want to have the sort of GOAT debate, you had Tom Brady like moving up and down that sideline, screaming at people, telling people, we're going to do this one play at a time. We can pull this off. You just had Travis Kelce sitting there looking like a zombie, as if he was about to cry in the second quarter of the game. Mahomes not interacting with anyone, just in his own world, realizing that everything was moving a little too fast for him. Even Andy Reid looked completely out of it for early on. They looked like a team that realized almost within the first quarter that this was a mismatch and that they had no chance. And I feel that it was kind of true. The realization they came to is fair, but I judge them for the fact that I saw basically no fight from them. Yes, they have the late points at the end in the garbage time. That isn't fight. There was no fight in the second and third quarter in moments when you felt like if the Chiefs score now, even that drive right before the second half, the end of the second quarter, and again, Vasilis was watching the game with me and Vass is like, well, it's game over, right? Well, no, because if they can score on this one and that they can score then opening up the second half, all of a sudden it's 24-14 and it feels like a game. But instead, it was 31-0. There was, and it didn't look like they believed at any point that they were going to be able to pull anything off.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, after the first quarter, I kind of knew it was over. I mean, they just looked, that front line just looked lost. And I mean, the crazy thing is, right, they didn't blitz once, the Eagles. That was like the craziest stat there is there was no blitz. They sacked them 7 times, pressured up into the third quarter before it got to the garbage time. They had pressured him over 50% of the snaps. He was just like under duress the entire game from just the front four.
Yeah.
Sometimes three. Sometimes they rushed 3 and they were still getting pressure.
And, two of my big takeaways from that were, I think the Ravens had to absolutely be kicking themselves because they would have manhandled the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And I will say, as a neutral, we were denied a decent Super Bowl by the Ravens blowing it against the Bills, because Ravens-Eagles would have been a fun matchup of two teams just running the ball and kind of almost having a similar, like, using your quarterbacks, I mean, especially...
It would have been very interesting to see.
Lamar Jackson
interesting to see how they handled the front four.
Lamar Jackson will be looking at that and thinking that, Jalen Hurts broke the record for the most yards on the ground by a quarterback, and I could have had 300 against the Chiefs based on what Jalen Hurts just did. But that was one of my takeaways. I also feel like this is a blow-it-up moment for the Chiefs. Because between the Buccaneers Super Bowl performance and this Super Bowl performance, the script on how to beat the Chiefs is right there. Now, obviously, it's not that easy to be able to generate pressure like that. And like, a bad team cannot do what the Eagles did yesterday. But realistically, for every other team now, going into a game, that's the game plan. You've been shown they can't compete. Easier said than done, but it's there for everyone to see. If you're the Bills, if you're the Ravens, and you are in any way thinking about how do we build a team to beat the Chiefs, you start putting together players who can create pressure without having design blitzes, how you can dominate, both sides of the line in that same way and just bully the Chiefs. Maybe they won't be as intent on doing that because perhaps they won't see the Chiefs as the team that they have to build to beat now. But realistically, I think if you're Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, it's like we need a lot more offensive weapons. We need a completely new offensive line almost. We need more defensive threat as well to also be able to impact that game even more significantly. It's a lot of stuff they now need.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think in general, like, that's what I never truly understood is, for me, that's always been the script, to be potentially like a Super Bowl champion is to have a team with a great front defensive four. I mean, when I look back at the Giants and the times when the Giants won the Super Bowl most recently, it was always because that front four was so dominant. You know, when it was like Strahan, Tuck, Umaniora, like they were so good up front that they just created havoc, and you are then allowed to let your other 7 players step back and play normal defense. And like, I don't understand why more teams don't value that front four where it's like, we're just going to get a rusher. We're going to get a pass rusher on the end. It's like, no, you need to get multiple. You need to have like a rotation going where you can trust even that third, fourth guy in, like from the bench, is going to be effective. And like, it's so dominant. It's impossible to stop. And I think once, and that's the other thing that we've talked about this too, kind of indirectly, about how do like defensive line players get tired so quickly. We can discuss that again another day. But I think on the flip side, when defensive line players get rolling and get going, it's like feed forward. Like once they get a taste for a quarterback, it's like, lights out. Now this whole game, they're just going to be in their face. And you could see it with the Eagles. Like once they had that first, second pressure, they were just feeding off it. Like, we can do this all game, guys. Like, come on. Like, let's just keep at this.
No, 100%. And I watched the game on Sky, and in the studio was Ndamukong Suh.
I watched it on ground,
and Fitzpatrick, who both I thought actually really good at providing insights. And I also like Sky more because you don't have a lot of the U.S. commercial breaks. They're just going back in studio and analyzing the last drive. And Sue was driving home the point early on for the Eagles that if you are someone like a pass rusher, as soon as you start to feel you're starting to dominate the game, it just changes your mood, that you know you're going to get there time and time again.
Look at that.
And that also, the one thing he also said is your only responsibility there too is to be rotating players in and out regularly so that everyone's fresh, so that every single play you're just going at 100%. That gets into the interesting discussion about why do they get so tired so fast. You could still, you could just see he was watching it knowing how much fun it would be for him to be playing in that type of scenario.
He's not a scumbag player.
No. Nice guy, though, seemingly, based on how he spoke about it and speaks in studio. But he kind of alluded to that, though, because at one moment he did say, they said, oh, you'd be having fun out there. You'd be talking to Mahomes a lot. And he was like, oh, yeah, every play I'd be saying to him, even if I didn't get there that time, I'd be saying, I'll be there again soon. I'll be there again soon. But having obviously mentioned there a little bit of the Mahomes-Brady debate, a lot of people were not looking forward to Brady's commentating, announcing Super Bowl debut. He's boring. There's no doubt. The thing that bothers me, that I do not understand how he's not getting instructions, why is he not referencing his career and his experience? He only started to do it in the final few minutes of the fourth quarter, sort of speaking about how a Super Bowl loss impacted him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why throughout the game, I was crying out for him to start talking about the Falcons Super Bowl and to say, oh, if you're Patrick Mahomes, if you're going into halftime now.
What did you say at halftime? Right. Yeah. Right.
What did you think right now? Did you really believe you're going to win? What are you talking about on the sidelines? What are you doing? Like, what was the communication? What's the coach coming over and doing? How are you changing?
Take? Like, what was step one coming out of halftime? Like, what was the first game plan? Yeah.
And you're in a world where you're the only person in the world who can literally tell us how you would come back in this scenario. And instead, you're just waffling on and boring, doing the thing that you or I could do of, looks like Patrick Mahomes doesn't have a lot of time back there. Better get the ball out of his hand faster. Oh, the Eagles are really dominating. No, give us the real insights. This should be the reason.
His real insight kept being like, I'm watching his feet. And I can tell by his feet he's not comfortable. It's like, oh, you can tell by his feet? I can tell by him getting smashed to the ground every play. He's not comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you get to watch the feet. I can watch his body.
Yeah, I got to watch the multiple interceptions. One fumble where he also got smacked in the face as he fumbled, like just after he fumbled the ball.
When that play happened, my reaction was like, oh dear, he might be dead. That was a hit. From his arm was like jacked back. And then as his arm's being dislocated, he gets smashed in the face. That was not a good look. That had to hurt. No, I 100% agree with the Brady. The other, I didn't mind Brady. It wasn't bad. but it was by no means good. He's all season, I mean, he's been criticized for this. He's very monotone. He tries to fake excitement, and everyone who listens knows that he's kind of faking it. And that is kind of, that's annoying. If you're just going to be monotone. Don't try and be really excited here. Like, that doesn't work. The other criticism I'll give both of them, it was as if the Chiefs were 35-point favorites and that like the Eagles have happened to win this game, that well, this game does mean something. It is a Super Bowl. Oh, I guess that means they're Super Bowl champs. Like the whole game, it was the Chiefs don't look good. The Chiefs don't look good. The Chiefs aren't, they're going to be able to come back here. I don't think they're going to be able to come back. Like at some point you have to flip and be like, God damn, the Eagles look fucking good, man. You know, this is a good Super Bowl team. Like this is impressive. It never really flipped. It was always, what are the Chiefs doing wrong?
I guess. I don't know. I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, if you're watching it and you really feel like this is, I thought the Eagles were very good and they deserve credit for a very complete performance, a really good game plan. I think the Niners probably deserve a little bit of credit through this because Fangio losing multiple times, he finally got to figure out why couldn't he have called some of those schemes, in previous Super Bowls. It only took him 8 losses to the Mahomes to finally figure out what might work on a consistent basis. But yeah, no, I think you're right. At some point, you had to flip and start giving the Eagles credit. But I guess if you're trying to keep an audience engaged, you know that the average person is watching this, especially as the Super Bowl draws, eyes from people who only really ever watch the Super Bowl, who will have only seen the Chiefs be good. You might have to focus on wow, this is catastrophically bad from the Chiefs. This is not what we expected. And probably for a significant percentage of you who only ever seen the Chiefs win games, this is going to come as a really big surprise. But should we do before we do a little bit more discussion, do a little prop bet wrap up?
Yeah, I have to say, part of me, I almost lost every bet. I think I won maybe 1 or 2, and they were like gimmick ones. It was how many times was Taylor Swift being shown. I took the under on that. It was 6.5, which is a crazy number. I went heavy on the under on that.
Well, you got helped by Blowout and Kelsey doing nothing. Those.
But I think no matter what, they've really limited how much they show her on the NFL. 7 times in a game is a lot.
I agree. But for example, they were always going to, any Kelsey touchdown, they were going to show her. So if it had been 2.
He ain't scoring 4 touchdowns.
No, but if he'd had 2, you do start to get close to the number pretty fast. But no, I agree with you. We discussed it on the 6.5 was a high number.
Yeah. So that one was one of my few wins. I did good. I avoided a lot of the Barkley yardage because I genuinely thought the Chiefs would try and stop Barkley. So I had one bet. I think I had Barkley over 90 or something like that, but I didn't do any of the high ones. I didn't do like the over 130s, over 140s that everyone was so excited about. I had Kelsey out of every bet but one. I had him in one with like over whatever the lowest I could get was like 40 or 50 yards. I didn't have Kelsey to go off. I knew that would be what they would shut down. I had a lot of my bets with Hurts running a lot. I knew he would run a lot. I thought Mahomes would run more because he would be pressured.
He ran a lot.
The second part worked.
He ran a lot. He just didn't go forward. He ran sideways and backwards quite a lot.
So I feel like I kind of hit that a little, but not. I mean, he ended up with 25 yards. I had him for 25, and he hit the 25 exactly. So at the end of the day, that hit, but I wasn't happy about that. I had Worthy having a big game, so I had one bet with Worthy over like 100 yards.
Well, more than your bet recap, let's talk about like the ones that were getting real discussions, because the most fun one that I think that anyone could have had, which is one we regularly talk about, is the over 2.5 players throwing a pass. And the fact that you had Kenny Pickett come in, hand the ball off 3 times. And like, as soon as he came in, I didn't have that bet, but with the group I was in was like, oh, this is a fun bet for someone who's really excited out there because they're about to win their over 2.5 touchdown throw pass attempts. That hands the ball off 3 times, 4th and 6 or whatever it was. You're like, well, they're just going to punt, game over. And then they roll him back out to throw an incomplete pass to win your bet. An enjoyable moment for someone.
The one that pissed me off is one we always talk about regularly is, will someone score an octopus? I did bet the octopus, and I had multiple chances. with the Chiefs going for it for the 2-point conversion and did not hit that. So that was unfortunate. The one that killed everyone, I think, is the Barkley no touchdown. I had that in quite a few things. The bet that would have saved me was I did kind of what you said. Eagles -8. So Eagles to win by a lot. Hurts touchdown, Barkley touchdown, Mahomes over interceptions. At halftime, I was ready to cash that bet in. I was like, at least I'll be saved because it was good odds. I mean, because Mahomes over the interception was like even money. And then, 2 touchdown scores, and then the Eagles -8 was almost like 2-1.
No, I did my one bet builder that I did with like any kind of significance behind it. I had the Eagles -6.5. Eagles halftime, full time. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown scorer. AJ Brown anytime touchdown scorer, and Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown scorer.
Yeah.
And you at halftime, I was like, I think I'm going to win this bet. Like I've got all of the things I kind of worried about have come in. And then the killer was the moment I knew I might be in trouble was when Cooper DeJean returned that for a pick 6. There was a moment I was like, he's going to go out of bounds at like the 5. They're going to give it to Saquon. And you could even tell on the last time they got in the red zone and they ended up settling for the field goal, they were trying to get Saquon his touchdown when they just handed the ball off to him multiple times.
When they went up heavy, that I was most confident because I was like, oh, the last thing now that they want to do is to get Barkley his touchdown. Like they're going to try everything to get him a touchdown. And eventually it's just like time ran.
Yeah.
They'd still be trying right now if there was still time on the clock.
And ultimately, I think for everyone who got killed by any of those Saquon overs or even anytime touchdown scorers, it was one of those where because it was such a blowout so early, it hurt you. Like anyone wanting the over 120 yards or whatever, which I think was the set line, you were in trouble because it was just going to be the Chiefs loading the box and just trying to take the run away at that point. You were in trouble as soon as the Eagles were out to a heavy lead.
The other one that kind of killed me that was in a few was Goddard. I thought Goddard was going to have a bigger game than he did, and he started off great. I think he had those 2 catches were pretty early, and he thought he was going to be a factor, and then it turned out they didn't need him to be a factor. So I think that the blowout kind of hurt that a little bit as well.
Yeah. No, a lot of props on the Eagles side of things. I did one bet that I loved. I have to admit, it was 16-1 that there would be a rushing touchdown in every quarter, which I thought that's got a chance. Did not come off.
What quarter?
Second quarter, no rushing touchdown.
And third and fourth quarter, actually.
Yeah, no, but it was done in the second quarter. When Jalen Hurts got the first, I was worried even in the first quarter that time was sort of ticking away after the first couple of possessions. Then it happened in the first quarter. I was like, oh, this is pretty good because there's a decent chance the Chiefs score a rushing touchdown if they get in the red zone. The Eagles are definitely going to score at least one more rushing touchdown. So I've got a serious chance. The other bet I had is this was 10-1. Barkley and Hunt over 5 yards rushing in every quarter each.
Yeah.
Died in quarter 1 because Hunt didn't get it.
Hunt only had 3 carries the entire game.
Yeah. But he had one in the first quarter
Hunt.
where he got 3 yards. I was like, oh man, just give it to the ball, give him the ball one more time. And I survived to the second quarter. No, I was over fast.
Yeah. The one that I had that I actually kind of liked that obviously did not hit was each team to have a touchdown and a field goal in each half was 9-1. So 9-1, that's not bad. I mean, the Eagles did it.
Yeah. And some extra. Yeah. Can you carry some of those field goals and touchdowns over to the Chiefs? But no, it was
that obviously died in the first half.
And then you obviously the national anthem ended up going over as a result of his repeat. Almost a troll job. Almost a troll on the back of the road.
He was like, Frank's taking the under. You know how I'm going to fuck him? I'm going to repeat the fucking line 3 times.
No, but I mean more just on the back of the repetition of the Brave that caused so much controversy. This is I'm going to repeat another lyric, which will not be excluded from the sort of terms and conditions of this bet, and just troll people who now bet on the national anthem over under.
It's bullshit. Dude, play the fucking song like it was meant to be played. Don't fucking add lyrics in. Play the goddamn song. Stop disrespecting America.
Yeah. Speaking of disrespecting America or honoring America, depending on what your opinion is, there was the halftime show, which I actually
Did
thought
not watch the halftime show.
I thought it was
Was
pretty good.
picking up pizza.
I thought it was pretty good. It did slightly reveal to me how few Kendrick Lamar songs I know. There were a decent number where I had never heard them before, but I thought he put on a good performance. I'm going to give him credit for some of the subtle or not so subtle political messages that he sent within the performance. And do you know what? For people who are often critical, not necessarily specifically us, but a lot of the larger public for the NFL for shutting down lots of those types of messages, obviously all of his performance was rehearsed and approved. So, Roger Goodell and the NFL signed off on everything he did in terms of, the Samuel L. Jackson in the Uncle Sam costume commentating over his performance and telling him he's too ghetto and all that type of stuff, to the arrangement of the American flag in the way that they did it. The one thing that they probably didn't sign off on was the Palestinian, Sudanese flags appearing in the background of some of the performances. I'm guessing those were just kind of snuck on. But yeah, I think deserves a little credit for having some balls in his halftime performance.
Yeah, fortunately, I did not get to watch that. The other commercials. So you did not watch commercials because you're on Sky because you're anti-American.
Well, but I'll give you two reasons why I was on Sky. One, because I do like the analysis over the commercials. Two, Sky broadcasts the Super Bowl in ultra high definition at a definition rate that you cannot get on U.S. television.
Yes, you can. I get 4K.
No, this is better.
It is.
Than 4K.
I had it in 4K.
It's better than 4K, man. This is the thing. The U.S. U.S. is a little behind the rest of the world in a lot of technology stuff. I know it hurts you all. You're all so sensitive. Can't. Apple Pay is brand new technology to all of you. But no, it's the broadcast rate. I have every U.S. channel, every British channel, everything. The broadcast rate on ultra high definition on Sky is a higher quality broadcast rate than
Sky Ultra HD is exactly the same as 4K with the exact same resolution. 4K actually has a wider field of view. Want to step back your statement because I just saw your face.
No, because I can't be bothered to because 4K is a very broad term, but I promise you, as someone who has all of the channels, it's a higher quality. And you could ask everyone else. No, but I don't know why you've never watched it. I'm just telling you. And you can ask everyone.
You've never watched 4K because I can guarantee you, I know you say you have all the channels, but they only do this channel like once every 4 months. Like the only 3 or 4 things that have ever been in 4K are like this, the national championship, and I think like one other thing.
Yeah, and they only do Sky Ultra High Definition for like the big Premier League matches and NFL games. And I promise you, because we flicked between them, because a lot of the people at my party were like, I want to watch the Super Bowl with American commercials on. It was a big debate. And then I said, let's just switch between the quality, which one of these is crisper quality. We went to Sky and every single person was like, it's better. Let's watch it on this. I'm sorry. I know America's so much better than the rest of the world.
No, but these are things you just say because you're just saying it. I'm looking up everything here that says it's exactly the same. It's the same. It's just called something different.
Okay. All right. We'll see. I mean, I had a very clear 8-person eye test, but I suppose your quick Google that delivered the first search result is more accurate than the eye test.
But what I'm saying is I don't know if you actually get the 4K version or if you just get the HD version.
When I tell you I get every channel on Earth at the moment, I get every channel on Earth. So every single American channel you have access to, I've got access to. I'll go into no more details than that for different reasons.
How do you have access to all those channels?
But I promise you, every channel you've got,
Getting back to the commercials. Commercials were okay. Again, we talked about this before. You already see most of them anyway. The only one I actually kind of liked was only because it was Matt Damon, was the Stella with David Beckham having a twin brother. Did you happen to see that one after?
Yeah, well, I saw, again, we kind of discussed it, right? You also just see so many of them before the Super Bowl even airs. That's like another reason for me not to really watch the commercials. But yeah, I saw Saw that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was like the only one that I thought was kind of good. Because I think I've seen them all. So I guess the question I had written down here: how was the game on the new 85-inch television?
75. But yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, it was, ultra high definition was super crisp, better than you can even imagine it. And it was, I could have had the American experience and smeared some butter all over my screen before watching the game, but I decided, no, we'll watch it as God intended it. But no, it was good. Yeah, the party was nice. We had lots of food, lots of beer. Everyone stayed till the end, which, even in a blowout, there was a moment at halftime I kind of expected, because obviously the game kicks off at 12:30 in the morning here. At halftime, I did expect a few people to potentially leave, because you start to do the, it's late and it looks like this is over kind of thing. But everyone hung around to the very end. So it was nice, good fun.
What was the food situation?
So we had a combination of stuff. We had a buffalo chicken dip.
Okay.
We had
Was it spicy?
reasonably medium
Yeah.
spicy.
That scares me.
That scares you?
Yeah, because it's kind of like I don't really like spice very much, but then the fact of it kind of being like the buffalo chicken dips are always kind of fatty in general because like a lot of cream cheese and stuff. So when you combine that with the spice, I just know it's not going to come out well.
I don't think they said any cream cheese. It said Greek yogurt in it. It was a healthier
Oh, a little
buffalo chicken
healthier
dip.
version.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but with cheddar cheese on top, so that kind of offsets the, like to crisp up the top of
And a
it.
bucket of mayonnaise in it.
I think fat-free mayonnaise, I think.
Does that
So,
exist?
yeah, in the UK, the place that
Ugh.
also offers ultra high definition.
Probably super processed. You know
Uh,
what? America doesn't have that because RFK won't allow it.
That's true. RFK has his way. He will pump full-fat mayonnaise into everyone's veins. It will help you. It will replace vaccines. But then Vass brought a assortment of like Greek food. So we had all the little finger stuff and some dips. We had some meatballs. Usual
Big meatballs or like little like
small meatballs. Toothpick and yeah. Some mini like cocktail sausages. Had some celery carrots with dips.
It's in a Super Bowl without being able to see Vasilis eat 5 dozen wings.
I mean, Vasilis is a pretty messy eater. I did not want him getting wing sauce all over my sofa, so there was never going to be any wings. And then the final stuff, we had like mini croque monsieur, a little bit of a French twist.
Wow.
Some other little mini sausages in puff pastry. There was a lot of food plus some dessert. There was a cheesecake for dessert and a chocolate cake for dessert.
Ooh. Cheesecake for dessert sounds nice.
It was give credit. The cheesecake was homemade by someone else. It had also made with Greek yogurt, a little healthier cheesecake.
What's wrong with you people?
Obviously with some cream cheese too, and then white chocolate. It was very light and fluffy. It was delicious.
Nice. Yeah, I timed it actually perfectly in the end. I ordered a Chicago deep dish pizza from there's one legit Chicago, like the person's from Chicago. They did pizza in Chicago, moved here. So it's actually a really good deep dish. And I ate half of a large deep dish pizza. I woke up this morning and I had a fucking headache. I had like a deep dish pizza hangover. I ate so much. It had to be like 4,000 calories worth of pizza I ate. And then I also had a dozen wings on top of that. So I woke up and I did not feel so hot this morning. Did not have a sip of alcohol, but still had like a hangover. It was pretty rough.
Yeah, we had a lot of beer, but we did not get through all of it.
Did you run out of beer?
No. So I probably have 30, 40 beers left.
Oh, wow. Did anyone drink beer?
We had a lot. We did buy a lot. I think we had enough for every person to have 20, 25 beers.
Including the women.
That did not happen. So, and admittedly, 3 people who said they were going to come did not come. So had those 3 people
would have been a little
up,
closer.
Yeah, it would have been. And I wanted to make sure we had enough, because even on the off chance that an extra person decided to come all of a sudden, you then didn't want to make them feel bad of, oh, thanks for coming at the last minute. Turns out we don't have enough alcohol for you. But no, it wasn't heavy drinking. Vass was disappointed on that front. He said he thought he was going to get fucked up. the Super Bowl. I don't know exactly what he was expecting. I think he thought we were going to be doing shots whenever a touchdown was scored or something along those lines. That did
You
not
should
happen.
have. You should have had a little party game for him. You should have been like, every time there's a pass, we take a shot.
But no, it was good. Led to some interesting debates. A question I've not been able to properly settle was Cooper DeJean, the first ever white player to have a pick six in the Super Bowl.
In a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
It's really tough because what about like the 60s, 70s, 80s, and
This
90s?
was the debate. This was the debate, but then I said, well, the 60s and 70s, it's slightly offset by them throwing the ball less. We're now in the sweet spot, and you think there's 59 Super Bowls now. How many pick sixes have there even been? 10 in Super Bowl history? So I feel like the chance is pretty high that he's the only one.
Well, the other thing that's interesting about the Cooper DeJean is him and Barkley had birthdays. And usually there's always that birthday touchdown. And all of America bet it would be the Saquon Barkley birthday touchdown. But I don't think many people knew it was also Cooper DeJean's birthday. And he stole the birthday touchdown from Barkley. So that's, unfortunate. Because that was, I think, I saw someone had put one of the things had a pretty nice bet on it. I think it was 40-1, 50-1. And that was the first person to ever score a touchdown on their birthday in the Super Bowl. So that was a first. Whether he's the first white cornerback for a pick six, I still don't know. The other thing that's crazy, he's 22 years old. Like, that's crazy to think about how young that is. I mean, he looks really young too.
Yeah, that's
like he looks like he's 18, turning 22. But I mean, 22 is so young. Like, I have, students I teach that are 22, and to be like, that kid right there is currently in the NFL, like making millions and scoring pick sixes is a crazy thought.
And I'll go on I've recently had the anti-religious rant. The thanking God stuff, they got to cool it. And you know what? For a lot of them, it didn't bother me. The person who it bothered me for was Nick Sirianni. Because obviously I don't know exactly what his upbringing was like. But the way he said, I think as soon as he started getting interviewed, he said, all power to God or something like along those lines. He's an Italian Roman Catholic. It's not the way you speak. You know what I mean? Like, there's a cultural element to the way you're representing your religion. And I don't really care, but it just becomes so performative. I don't believe most of you even care at all. And you're now just checking the box of, I'm supposed to say thank you, Jesus, for this. And I got to be honest too. If I were some of the times they would go, it was really good. The team works really hard. We put in so much effort, but ultimately all praise to God. If I was a teammate, it's like, no, praise us, the people who our bodies on the line week in, week out for the last year, have not seen our families as much as we wanted to. We didn't win because some higher power decided that today was the day the Eagles were going to beat the Chiefs.
Man, you love to go against God. I will say, your better counterpoint should be, how come there was no one in the Chiefs locker room as soon as they lost? Be like, guys, it's fine. This is God's plan, guys. I don't know why you're upset.
There definitely was.
I don't know why you're upset, guys. This is God's plan. This is what he wanted for us, guys. This is what God wanted. Come on. Pick your heads up. He wanted us to lose. Come on.
You're not wrong in that. Why would you be sad if you do believe in the this is God's plan thing? But I'm sure that I could find plenty of quotes where there are Chiefs players saying this was God's plan. All that matters is that we continue to live our life for the Lord, blah, blah, blah. Jesus sacrificed himself for us, and we've sacrificed ourselves for the city of for Kansas City. I'm sure there's some.
Yeah, I got another one though. You don't watch the commercials, so you miss the Jesus commercials. I find it so ironic, and I mentioned this. I saw it. There's a clip in one of them, and it looks like there's a guy giving a homeless person a haircut. And it's like, we can all be so nice and friendly and help each other. And I don't know why no one's watching that commercial questioning, well, why is God making that one guy homeless and suffering and in need of a haircut from another person? Like, how is that part skipped over?
Because, Frank, this is what you don't understand. God makes some people experience insurmountable suffering so the rest of us can learn from them. It's a teaching opportunity for the rest of us. And okay,
someone's got to be the teaching lesson.
You need to start implementing this in your classes. when you're teaching human physiology, chop a
Cut
guy's
someone open.
chop a guy's arm off at the front of the class, and that will be a great learning opportunity for the rest of the class. It sucks for him, but this is the way God wants people to learn. I want to be clear. Believe in what you want to believe in. I don't like
They're gonna be
religion.
like, I am extremely religious. I go to
Yeah,
church 4 times a week.
no,
This
but
this is a bit.
believe in what yeah, believe in what you want to believe in. And if your religion helps you, I think that's wonderful. And I'm not judging anyone for being religious. However, if you think your religion really cares about the outcome of a sporting event, then I think you're an idiot. And if you think that God is literally trying to teach you something about your life through your sporting outcomes whilst not suffering, stopping earthquakes and famines and plagues and wars and all those sorts of things, but the learning opportunity that can come from a football performance is that's what he's really trying to communicate, then either your God is an asshole or you're an idiot for thinking that's the stuff he would care about. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. But obviously Donald Trump, first ever sitting president. We spoke about it before, to attend a Super Bowl. Kind of extraordinary in some ways. I think most people would have thought a president had attended before. Ronald Reagan did the coin toss, but from the White House one year. We were talking about that at the party, and I was like, that could not happen nowadays because of gambling on coin toss outcomes. Like they couldn't
They wouldn't allow
have.
it.
It would be too risky that someone was getting either was potentially pre-recorded or even just with the feed where you'd have some insider being like, well, we're 3 seconds ahead of when they're going to see it in the stadium and I could just make an absolute killing on this. But that stuff was kind of interesting. But the real thing, I don't know.
So
Trump really wants to fix football with he post game nice little rant about the kickoff, and
he's so adamant about this. He says it all the time. But this is the classic thing, right? Is he hears people complain about it, so like he has no idea what it means or what's going on. But like I actually think the kickoff is better. Like I don't mind it at all. I think
yeah, I
we
mean,
got
look,
more returns this year. I think less
marginally,
injuries,
yeah,
obviously. Like
yeah, it's
I
not.
thought it's better. Why does everything have to why can't anything ever change? It's so insane. But
The
I mean
only thing,
that's his agenda, right? Like
yeah,
everything should go back to what it was in the 50s.
the only thing I'm critical of is that I feel like the kickers themselves are not as accurate as they should be in terms of landing it in the necessary zone and forcing a return. Other than that, I think put it this way, it's changing a part of the game that no one was really that passionate about anyway, unless you were just a special teams
Trump
hardo.
was.
Well, yeah, he said the worst part of the Super Bowl by far was watching the kickoff, where as the ball is sailing through the air, the entire field is frozen. College football does not do it and won't. Whose idea was it to ruin the game?
It's so insane. But I mean, that like everything has to be over the top. That's like how he does things, right? Like it could be like he gets a bad fucking pastry at breakfast, and it's like, when did America get the worst pastries in the world? We used to be the best pastry makers in the world. It's like, relax. Everything isn't the most best or worst. Like calm down. But actually, I have a better Trump story, I think, than that. So before the game, he's very pro Mahomes, right? He loves Mahomes, which is unfortunate. It makes me like Mahomes less, which is a really bad thing because I do love Mahomes. Um, but this is a quote he had that was before, because when he was talking about Tommy Tuberville, when Tuberville was he running for Senate, right? This is a quote from Trump. He said, Tommy Tuberville, a great coach. His quarterback was named Mahomes. He was a great college coach. And I said, how good was he? Meaning Mahomes. And Tuberville told me, you don't want to know how good. He made me into a great coach. He's a pretty great quarterback, right? Fast forward, Tuberville coached at Texas Tech from 2010 to 2012. Mahomes was the quarterback 2014 to 2016. There was a 2-year gap between when he coached and so he never coached him. Never had anything to do with Mahomes. But Trump makes up this story. No one cares. Everyone just believes it and thinks it's great, right? Then it gets better. So then Tuberville goes and tries to correct the story because he wants to get out in front. He doesn't want to be a liar, right? So he goes, I never coached him. What happened is I recruited him heavily, and then I left and went to another school. but I got to be very, very good friends with him. He's not only a good athlete, he's a very good example for a lot of our young youth across this country. Turns out, Mahomes says he's never met Tuberville. He had nothing to do with his recruiting, and he wasn't recruited as a Red Raider until a year after Tuberville left. He received his first offer from Texas Tech while he was a junior in high school and said that he had never met him before. What is, like, this is insane that people just do these stupid things and people believe it. Like, that's insane. It goes from Tuberville coached him to Tuberville recruited him to, oh, actually, Tuberville has never met Mahomes.
This is a tough one for me because it pushes me in the direction of how fucked we are politically, in that we now just live in a world where people know they can just openly lie and their base doesn't care, or their base will find excuses for them, and that the people around them, I almost don't judge Trump because he just exists in this delusional world where he can say whatever he wants and sees himself having no need for responsibility or accountability. I judge more the people around him, like in this instance, Tuberville, who kind of wants to lie to make him look like, to make it so it's not a complete lie from Trump, but then is also lying in the process. And we see this time and time again throughout his administration. Look, and we get it from Elon Musk, too, who just routinely lies about everything. But because people assume he's smart, and because he lies about a lot of things people don't have necessarily in-depth knowledge, they then don't think he's lying. Or when he then gets called out for lying, it's like the video game nonsense that he made up, that he was the best gamer in the world in 2 games. And then people are like, no, you aren't. This is very provable. Like, you're not. No one, then when he gets caught, he's like, I'm just a troll. It's just, this is the world. Then this is who people are voting for and want to be in positions of power. It blows my mind. But yeah, I don't know. We can't do anything anymore because you just are allowed to lie. And then if you just lie all the time, no one cares that you lie anymore.
Yeah.
They just like,
what
about
people
now?
Believe you. You lie so much that people just take your facts at face value.
And you then just get to go, oh, I could, because this is the thing, this is almost the brilliance about him, is ultimately what he gets to do to his supporters is go, there's no way he could lie this much. Like, you guys are you're harassing him and pursuing him, and you're making up that he's lying, because why would he lie about something so stupid? And it's like, well, because he lies about everything. But because when you lie constantly, it's like the opposite of the boy who cried wolf. It's that if you just cry wolf all the time, eventually people are like, oh God, it's probably a wolf. And if they tell me it's not a wolf, it's because they killed the wolf and they're hiding it from us. Like, they're just nice. It doesn't make any sense. The thing I like about that quote too, the one you had about Trump, is he compliments him for being a great coach, but then says the quote he has about how good Mahomes is Mahomes was so good he made me a great coach, which implies that he wasn't a great coach.
Well, it's like, just saying words.
I know, but if it really is, hey, you don't want to know how I know Mahomes is good? This great coach told me he's good. And you know how I know that, how good he said Mahomes was? He basically said he was a shit coach and Mahomes made him good. Like, you've actually kind of insulted the guy through the compliment.
Yeah. And then real quick, you mentioned the kickers not being good at placing things. Now, this doesn't matter because the Chiefs got absolutely thromped. But Matt Araiza obviously has a phenomenal leg and can boot it 70 yards. But it doesn't fucking matter when you put every fucking punt into the end zone. God damn, dude, just fucking directionally kick something out of bounds. Like, I'm so tired of people being like, man, doesn't he have look at that leg he's got. Wow, he just kicked that 60 yards. Yeah, right into the fucking end zone. What's the point? It drives me insane. It drives me absolutely insane.
I'm fine with it when if you're like on your own 30 and you just punt it through. So it's a nice net gain. But I agree with you. There are times when people are punting from their own 45 midfield, and then it's just a touchback. It's like, okay, so we got a 30-yard net gain out of your punt. That's not a good punt. Why can't you kick the ball out of bounds at the 10? And not only is that better net gain, but you put the other team kind of backed up against their own end zone, and with a little pressure, it changes the play calling they have to do. And hey, if you every once in a while come up with a punt that puts them on their own, we almost saw it with the Hurts interception, which was then just a kind of a fantastic punt. It put the Chiefs on their own 2-yard line or whatever. You then have to worry about the safety, also worry about creating space for your own punter if you actually end up having to kick the ball yourselves. as you know, I don't have a huge amount of respect for NFL punters. I think they get way too much credit for either hang time or how far they kick it, and also for the different ways in which they get some spin on the ball. That people, there's a sudden craze for 3 years over, the wobbly ball he gets. Like, don't get me wrong, that's going to be way harder to catch, but just kick a ball out of bounds to 5. Like, that's all I really want from a punter every time, versus the one punt a year the guy muffs, and let's hope it's at an important time.
Just to prove my point, Philadelphia, the Eagles, Brandon Mann had 2 punts, only averaged 47 yards a punt, but both were inside the 20. Matt Arezia had 6 punts, 52-yard average. Wow. 6 punts, 0 inside the 20. He was 0 for 6 in putting it inside the 20 with 2 touchbacks.
At least a couple of them he was putting from his own half. So I'm give him credit that he wasn't going to pull off the 90-yard punt necessary to really pin the Eagles back. But yeah, no, it feels like it could be radically improved. It's an area for easy improvement that they just don't do. Any other big takeaways?
So football adjacent, Lamar Jackson did not win the MVP. It went to Josh Allen, his first MVP win. The stat I would like to bring up is Lamar Jackson is the first player in NFL history to have more passing yards than the MVP, more passing touchdowns than the MVP, fewer interceptions than the MVP, higher completion percentage than the MVP, more rushing yards than the MVP, and a higher rushing average than the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make a strong case for both of them. We discussed it, a few weeks ago. I felt like Lamar Jackson should have won the MVP, but I don't think you could be annoyed by Josh Allen winning it. I do also understand that there is a certain Lamar Jackson sort of exhaustion with his previous MVP awards, in the sense it's not on the same scale, but it's a little bit like when Karl Malone won the MVP instead of Michael Jordan, just because people got tired of giving it to Michael Jordan. The difference is there, Michael Jordan was going on to win the championship and the NBA Finals MVP at the same time. And this was close, right? It was something like 28 votes to 23, something along those lines. So
it was one of the closest ones in like the last 10 years, something like that.
Yeah. And I think I think it would have felt unfair if you're Lamar Jackson, if it'd been like, 90% of the votes went to Josh Allen. This, I think, for either player involved, you can feel like, that we both had really good seasons, and I can understand why anyone voted one way or the other, and I just missed out. And Lamar Jackson at this point anyway should really be focusing on winning a Super Bowl. He's been there, done that on the MVP front, and it's time to deliver on postseason success.
And a little bit of non-sports news, Eddie. I have bought my first pair of ice hockey skates in about 25 years, maybe even more than that, actually. When I was in California, I rented a car and drove to a really nice hockey store that's out in Anaheim, one of the biggest ones in the country, and got fitted. You had like the 3D foot scanner, and it tells you like what boot is the best for you, what size. Got to try them on, and then they bake them for you and molds to your foot for like 40 minutes. Then they sharpen them, and they send you on your way. It was quite the fun experience. Except for
how much does that cost?
Everything associated with it is free. It's just you pay for the skates.
Well, yeah, but how much does that cost? You bought that sales pitch hook, line, and sinker. Like, oh, don't worry, the skates are $3,000, but all the fitting, that's free. Don't worry about that. We haven't put that into the price of the skates, and we would never do that.
No, they don't. I could have bought them online for the same price. The skates were $500, which is a pretty low end for ice skates.
Yeah,
it's like 300, 500, like 800, and then the pro level are like 1,300.
Yeah, that doesn't seem unreasonable. Even a good pair of football boots is, and by that I mean soccer, 200, 300. So it makes sense that there's a lot more complication into an ice skate than there is a football boot. So.
Haven't tried them out yet, though.
Not complete non-sporting terms. I started watching, and Amazon.
Oh, yeah. The second coming of ER.
Yeah, but it's not the second. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh,
I know.
okay.
I know it. No, they've been big because they kind of like. I think they were close to getting sued on the like. I think they were sort of pitching it a little bit like it's an ER.
Is it the
Not.
same guy?
It's Noah Wiley, yeah, who was in ER for several years, and he's also playing a doctor. It's good though. It's legitimately really good. I'm
Yeah, I heard
enjoying
it's
it.
very good. I
It's
will. I mean, I love medical shows. I think it hits close to home, so I enjoy them.
and I'm not
Is it
basing this.
gory?
There's some gore, but it's not too gory.
Nice.
There's a few gory injuries, but
Not
most of
as
them are
gory
not.
as the Nick.
There's a couple bad ones.
Oh, the Nick is gruesome though.
There's a couple. Episode one hits you hard with one fairly gruesome injury, but it's not relying on gore. I'll also say, and I'm not basing this on not like I'm a doctor. I'd read about it before, and it's sort of being universally praised by doctors for being one of the more realistic portrayals of being a doctor working in an emergency room, working in a hospital. Conceptually, it's also quite cool because every episode is just an hour of the day.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
episode one is
Straight
like
hour.
7 straight hour,
It's kind of like 24.
sort of, yeah. But actually sticking to the 24 sort of was 24 hours, but it was sort of leaping around. This literally episode one is like 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., episode two, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So that's kind of neat. I mean, I don't know if they do 10 seasons, do we only get 10 days? That bit I don't like. My God, that guy looks rough on Friday. It's like he looks so much older.
Yeah, I'll have to start watching it then.
Yeah, good. It's good. It's good. It's interesting.
The Nick though, that was such a good show. Steven Soderbergh, Clive Owen. Sneakily, Clive Owen is one of the best actors. Between that and Children of Men, he has one of my favorite TV shows and one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, he just sort of slightly fumbled his career from a position of real strength. I think part of that is because he didn't want to be that sort of A-list actor, and he likes doing plays and stuff. But from the position he was in say 2005, 6, where he'd been in multiple hits and was kind of a mini heartthrob, to end up now it's like, do you remember Clive Owen? That's the conversation about him, basically. Obviously, football-wise, I know he switched away from sport. FA Cup weekend, one shock, which was Plymouth, bottom of the championship, beating Liverpool, but I don't think Liverpool are too bothered. It gives them a chance to focus more on the Premier League and the Champions League. City survived a little bit of a scare in their Saturday match. Rugby, Six Nations, England pulled off a bit of a shock, beating France, scoring a last second try to win by right at the death. But everything else sort of went to plan.
Well, Six Nations started up, and then you have Four Nations starts up, I think, tomorrow or Wednesday.
What's the Four Nations?
Four Nations is the hockey version.
Okay.
Do you want to guess the Four Nations?
Are they the major? Is it like USA, Canada, Sweden, Switzerland?
3 for 3. So close. Finland.
Okay. And it was obviously not going to be Russia, so you could kind of eliminate them as one of the big. And that gets NHL players, like the big stars all play. It's not like the World Hockey Championships where it's all young guys and stuff.
No, big stars will play. I don't know if every big star is playing. I'm looking at actually right now. Yeah, it looks like, at least for Canada, all the good players are playing. Yeah. Which people obviously aren't happy about because you're 3/4 of the way through the NHL season. Now you have a chance for one of your best players to get hurt. So weird that they do that. I don't know why you would do that, but
one other little catch up. I don't know. We obviously last episode included my Arsenal rant on the heels of them losing to Newcastle. One thing I hadn't realized, because I don't normally watch the post match interviews and stuff, Anthony Gordon, after they knocked Arsenal out of the cup semi-final, did say in his post match interview, it's important for us to stay humble. So the fact that Arsenal are now going to just get trolled by everyone. They're rattled, and they're just going to make it easy for every single opponent they face to make a little joke about staying humble. That's why what they are doing is even dumber, because it's just bulletin board material, easy sledging for absolutely anyone who plays them and ever finds themselves in a lead or wanting to get under their skin. Anything else?
All right. No, maybe we can save Severance for next episode. I don't know if you've watched it.
I actually haven't watched the latest episode anyway, so
shame.
I was too into the pit.
Save for the well. pull yourself out of the pit and get the severance. I will say this, just a slight severance fact that I thought was pretty cool. I did not realize that the building that a lot of it's filmed at is actually from my hometown, like town adjacent. It's like literally one town over from where I am.
So the office building, you mean?
Yeah.
So the exterior shot of the office building, is that
And
from your hometown?
Yes, the exterior and the inside too.
Okay, but
How
the
it's
really
like
big.
all glass square of like 8 floors with like, so we can walk you can see people like walking across it. Yeah, it's called the building's called the Bell. It used to be where Bell Labs was. Had no idea that was there.
Must be cool. I wish I.
Pretty cool. I knew people who worked there.
Whoa. Were they severed?
Them. Maybe they were. I mean, it could explain a lot about them. Whenever I asked them how their job was, they never really gave me much of an answer.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't get much response from you. I sent you that clip from Parks and Recreation of Adam Scott's character basically suggesting I sent you this little clip on an Instagram reel.
I'd seen that before.
I know you've probably seen it before, but it was interesting.
How he had mentioned about like basically the plot of Severance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when we're in work, we talk about work. When we're out of work, we don't talk about work.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, I think I had just seen that before. That's why. All right. I guess with that, we'll call it a day.
Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.